business conversations. It's not techie, but it's all grounded in the differentiation. I think I might have one more up here. This is SaaS, what I mentioned before. SaaS helps marketing execs find the most profitable growth opportunities, take the best marketing action, and maximize cross-business impact because we got a customer intelligent platform embedded with the world's best analytics. So those are how I package up differentiators into positioning pillars. Go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Oh, converges. Here's what we do. Go one step further, dive deeper, deliver a unique experience every time, and handle the unexpected. So those are their positioning pillars. And again, it was grounded in some of the unique capabilities that they were offering. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Can you? Yeah.
These slides are going to be up on slide share, so I see some of you actually taking down every word, and they will be available on slide share. We'll send out mail to everyone who participates. So
that's great. Why don't we go to the next slide and see where we are on this? You know what I'm going to do is, we don't have that much time left. We've got, well, what do we got? Do we have 30 minutes? What time is it? 20 minutes? Oh, that's great. Why don't we I'll show you messages, and then what we'll do is we'll go in and I'll actually bring up some sample stories and show you what they look like, some real samples. So that was how I create pillars. Now the other question is, how do you create messages, right, that aren't the same old blah, blah. So why don't we walk through this? This is Tipping Point's another security company. And the question is, how do you bring a product alive? So this is about Tipping Point leads the advancement of network security. So if you go through the, click on this. So the first thing I do in a message is I always say what category they're in. So they're in network security. Hit another click. Then you have to actually say what the product is. This happens to be a network security IPS platform. And then, next one, and their viewpoint. They have a whole viewpoint about next generation data centers, how they're different, how they need to be protected differently. Next. And then who is this for? So this is for security executives. So Tipping Point arms security executives with new capabilities to stop threats faster, protect the highest multi-gigabyte bandwidth networks, and then go to the next one. And then it's, it's helps security executives drive to zero admin. So these are all, it's business benefit conversations. But I always try to say a couple things. Number one, what category are you in? What's the product actually do? Or, what is it? But what are who's it for? And either what problem it solves, or I've got the, business benefits in there, rather than flexible, comprehensive, blah, blah, blah. So why don't you go to the next, and then down here, I always add an aspirational conversation here. The most demanding, oh yeah, I'm a demanding organization, yeah, I want you guys, so. Again, this is Cordient, this is that decisioning company, right? They were the merger of two companies. And the problem is, one part of the company wanted to lead with the decisioning technology, and the other one wanted to lead with their great predictive analytics CRM. And I say, you don't lead with either. Lead with a problem. Right? What are the combination of these? What problem do they solve? And this is, we say, Cordient heralds a new era of customer experience management. Again, that's the category. To help global brands multiply customer lifetime value. Again, it's a business conversation. Cordient and its foundation and CX solutions, so we name what the solution is, what the product is. We deliver an order of magnitude improvement in customer experience. We give global brands a unified way. We quickly measure how the strategy's working, change at new levels of speed and economy. The net result is superior customer service, less churn, blah, blah, blah. But it's all, it's business, more of a business conversation. And I use words like herald and reshapes the way brands engage customers. A little more language that's a little more fresh than the same old, press releases that we seem to be spit out everywhere in our industry. Okay. Before we go to this, why don't I show a few samples, since we have.
Actually, I have a question as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
How to get the brightest minds for you? So how do you position for recruitment?
I'm sorry, say it again. What's the question?
How do you position your company for recruitment? How do you get the best minds to work for you?
Oh, you got to have a good story. But seriously, if somebody comes in and say, well, maybe if they're a techie, I'm building a really great decisioning engine. Well, maybe a techie will be into that, but you say, hey, look, I'm going to change the world, right? Because there's this big, hairy problem out there. I'm the only one that can solve it. Come on board. I don't know. It seems to me like that's maybe not. Some of the techies might say, I want to get in my hands in the decisioning stuff. But I find stories are also a great rallying cry for the company. What do we stand for? This is the rallying cry. So I'm going to switch gears here a little bit and bring up some samples. First one I'm going to show you is actually a very interesting company. This is a mobile couponing company. Coupons on mobile phones. And their problem was they were a startup, just got a little bit of seed money. And they were getting nowhere. They could not get their first customer. They went on so many sales calls, nothing was happening. They were calling it those low-level point-of-sale guys because that's where the coupon is, and these are point-of-sale guys. Wrong. Let's talk to the CMO. Forget the point-of-sale guys. They don't have any budget, right? Hello, and they want to keep things the way they are. They're not under any threat. Let's talk to the CMO. The CMO is, what's the life expectancy of a CMO for a retail company? Probably 18 months or something. There's pain, right? So this is the conversation we had. Why don't you go ahead and, if you can. So we just started out, first we had to say who Infineon is because nobody knew who they were, right? So we started out where they are, and we just said they're a market maker, we're VC funded, okay. We position them not as, we position them not as a couponing system, but as a mobile customer management platform for forward-thinking CMOs, and it's their Mary. Now we start the conversation. Go to the next slide. So the question is, why is Infineon important? Great question. Go to the next slide. Because the land grab is already underway. If you hit another click, the SMS is ubiquitous. There's the explosion of smartphones. Mobile coupons are now. All these channels. The question is, which brands, again, this is a CMO we're focusing on, are going to own the mobile customer? This is their viewpoint. Bigger conversation. Just like the web created web consumers and all these big web brands, Amazon, Netflix, et cetera, click. Same thing's going to happen mobile. There's going to be a big mobile consumer market. And the question is, it's going to happen sooner, but who's going to own these customers? Much bigger conversation than point-of-sale couponing, wouldn't you say? Next question. So again, we're setting up the market dynamics. You as a CMO are under the gun. How can I own the mobile customer before my competitors? How do I drive revenue through this new channel? Where will my mobile customers engage next? Every day there's a new technology. Groupon, where are they going to engage next? And, again, am I going to place the wrong bet on mobile? So we go to the next slide. We're setting up the problem set. Today's reality for a CMO, it's fragmented. You've got SMS, social media, mobile carriers, we've got all these technologies available for you to go after the mobile consumer. You're going to place the wrong bet? Hello, what's wrong with all this? Go to the next. What's wrong with this picture is you're managing silos of all these disparate mobile technologies. Secondly is you don't know which channels are actually driving revenue. And the third thing is you don't even own the customer. If I am a CMO and I use Groupon, who owns the customer? Groupon, not me. They're like, oh, geez, you're right. So again, we're leaving the CMO with something perhaps they never thought of before and reframing the problem in a bigger context. Then we go to the next slide. What do you got to do to solve this problem? Next slide. The answer is you need a platform to manage this mess for you. Go to the next slide. Then we introduce the company. Next slide. Here's their pillars. First, why Infineon? Because we unify. We give you a single source for managing all your mobile channels. The second thing is we engage. We make it easy to create, distribute, and redeem offers. Third is we allow you to own the customer, measure, track, and understand their behavior. And finally, we can monetize it. We can tell you which channels are actually making money and driving revenue through your mobile customers. Your universal platform for mobile. And then we say, okay, how does it work? Well, go ahead and click through this. You can use your existing buy with a text, short codes to send an offer. They enter it in the point of sale, validates it in the cloud. Next. It's approved. text sends a thank you, customer behaviors tracked, and down here at the bottom, here's all the stuff you don't have to do anymore, right? Coupon fraud you don't have to worry about, hassle of downloading offers to point of sale. Go to the next slide. And we leverage all the stuff you're doing right now. And next slide. And every single CMO initiative that you have right now, we can help. So again, we don't want to have them have steel budget because this is a banana, right? There is nothing like this right now. So we said no matter what your CMO funded budget is, we'll make it better. Whether you need to enter new markets, whether you got to drive more revenue, whether you're worried about brand health, Infineon can help impact all those funded initiatives. Then we go to the next slide. And then we had a charter member program packaged up. Okay, how do you work with us? Okay, we're only going to take 5 new customers. They showed this deck, and in 6 weeks they had 3 customers. They went into one guy, the CIO said, I'll give you 15 minutes. I don't want to see you as a big retail chain, restaurant chain. I'll give you 15 minutes to, spend 2 hours with them after this deck. Because it was a conversation about business, their big problems, how they're going to own a mobile consumer. It's not about point of sale and couponing. It's a much bigger problem. So this is a perfect example of how a story helps a product come alive, solve a big problem for Mary, set up the buying criteria for solving it, and say why we're different is because these business reasons. Much more alive conversation. Yeah. And I'll show you one more, and then we can take some questions. All right. This one is let's show these guys, huh? Convergys. This is a little different one. If you can click through this for me. So again, this is Convergys. This is what their storyline looked like. After managing over 4 billion customer interactions last year, we have a different viewpoint. A massive shift in customer behavior is underway. 59% of customers say it's a pain to do business with you. 62% stop doing business with you after they had a bad experience, right? 4 times your customer is more likely to leave a service interaction disloyal than loyal, and 42% tried getting hold of you more than once, and the call center has become the last resort of getting hold of you. So again, big pain. Repeat calls and customer channel jumping take on new meaning when your customer's holding 6 channels in the palm of their hand. So a little provocative. Oh, I never thought about it. You're right. Go blow through this. Next one, please. Just make it easy has become the new customer mantra. So again, their viewpoint is let's shift the buying criteria. The new problem is just make it easy. The real game has become effortless care. That's the new cornerstone of service. And you, as a customer service exec, how do you balance cut costs with increased revenue with effortless care? How do you understand and strike the right balance between these 3? And again, just these 4 slides here, that's when that GM had that, 2-hour conversation just on these slides here. Next. These customer interaction execs have an answer. So these are their clients. And again, big results. What do they all have in common? They have Convergys in common. Go ahead and go through these. And then we go, here again, why these companies go to Convergys. Here's their pillars. Go to the next slide. Yeah, just go through this. For each one of the pillars, then, we have go one step further. And then here's all their capabilities over here on the side. Next slide. Dive deeper to better understand your customers. Here's how we do it, our unique capabilities. Next one. And then finally, after this one more. And then we had the requisite architecture slide, everybody has to have. This is what you buy, right? You can just go through this. So I think it catches the drift. You see the stories. They're bringing it's a bigger conversation about a problem, reframing it a little different for these buyers, and having a viewpoint about it. And of course, it all has to be connected to your differentiators and how you can solve it. So with that, why don't we take some more questions? How much more time do we have? 3 minutes. Great. It's a lot of material to go through. I just hope I give you a flavor of some of it. But why don't we take a couple of questions?
are actually kind of selling to a lot of people who can compare different products in the market
Yeah.
and do a technical comparison.
Yes.
Positioning, it's a smart TV. So even like big companies like Cisco and Intel and all that, have changed their logos and the communication is different. And some services companies like banking sector, for example, have changed their logo and their tagline,
Yeah.
the communication. But inherently, they are good old
Yeah.
continue to do the same thing. The communication in terms of logo and
Right.
tagline versus their actual service doesn't change.
That's correct.
So how do you?
So I think there's a distinction between brand and positioning. So brand is a brand experience, right? So the brand experience of brand is the corporate ID, the look and feel, the actual experience, maybe the tone of the conversation. And generally a brand personality will last, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Positioning actually shifts and changes underneath that. And the positioning might change every 12 months, every 18 months. Look at PeopleSoft, perfect example. California culture, that was their brand. California culture, bring dogs to work, casual, next Fortune 500. But that brand was very different from SAP, German, hierarchical, we know it all, But their product positioning changed almost every 18 months. First it was flexible, I hate that word, and then it was the internet-based one, and it changed. So, but the combination of the really powerful brand message, differentiated brand, and the real distinct product position was a really big winning combination for that company. I think if you're in a commodity market, you got to find another way, unless you like Apple has a great brand, right? And maybe they don't even have the best product. The iPhone might not be the best, but people buy it because of the cachet. Well, if you're a small company, you don't have that. So what do? Maybe you surround it with services. Maybe you solve a problem. Any electronics is a pain to use, right? Can you solve that problem, right? This stuff is so easy to use. I don't know. But for me, if you want to keep out of a price war, you got to have some kind of value. And the way to have value is solve some kind of problem. And that could be commodity product with services around it. Convergys had a whole analytics capability. Call center, commodity product, but they put analytics around it and created a really winning differentiation so they could get that added value. Premium price. So, yes, sir. Oh, well, we'll take him back here and then I'll get to you, yeah. Yes,
Bob, my name is Badri from Diasoft. Thanks for giving all those relevant, valid, and wonderful tips.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a question. How often do your customers actually implement your inputs?
Never. No. I'm a consultant. They never, no. They pay me a lot of money. So usually I'm at the executive level. And the process works is there's a preparation phase, goes on for a couple weeks. I do a bunch of interviews. My team does a bunch of interviews. We inhale all the information about the category and the product. Then we do a 2-day workshop. And in that workshop's all the executive team. CEO, CFO, VP of sales, right? A few marketing folks, engineering folks, service. And they're spending 2 days of their time. And they're spending a lot of money. So they're going to make sure that it's implemented and it just doesn't go away. But usually what's really great is most of my clients are like, oh my goodness, I've been having a hard time to describe what we do. Now, you kind of help them. The way I look at it with my clients, I say, I finally tell them what they actually do.
What is your positioning?
Who?
Fabrics consulting position.
What's mine? Oh, it's horrible. She asked me what my positioning is. It's horrible. I've got it. Well, you know what my positioning is. I use that strategy to point a revenue conversation as my viewpoint, right? Because I don't just sell positioning, but I have all these other services. So I come into a company and say, you got a new strategy? You need me. You got a change in strategy? You need me if you want to get to revenue. So I got to be connected to revenue. And I say, if you got a change in strategy, the strategies fail, don't get revenue fast enough, they're going, oh yeah. Well, I got a process that can get you faster and better than everybody else. So that's what I do. But it's a painful process for me. I had to have somebody from the outside do positioning for me because I couldn't see it anymore. We'll take your question here.
I'm Raman from Runway. It's an internet-based online microlearning platform. So how do you position a brand on a homepage? Because you have somebody visiting your website.
Yes.
Focus attention deficit, and you lose them.
Yeah, the question is, how do you, on a website, somebody comes in there for, 10 seconds, you'll lose them. So I think that's what's wild. Here's how I look at position. You start with a story, and then you come down to the short message, then the single sentence, then the one word if you can, which is really hard to do. In the absence of that, you know what? Problem. Everybody gets problems, especially got a new technology. There's no language for the new technology, so it's too hard for people to figure out. Everybody knows their problems. That's what I always, front and center. If you got this problem, read more. Oh, I got this problem. Yeah, okay, read more. And that's the only advice that I can give. And usually if you can get that down to a tag or a theme or something, great. But that's really, really hard to do. But I always go back to the foundation of it all is just talking their language, and you say, you got this problem, read further. If you don't, go somewhere else.
You have a sister company that startups can afford.
Sister company. Maybe there'll be a Bangalore edition or something. I don't know. I want to take one in the back here. Yeah? Yes. That's a really great question. So he has a product, horizontal product that can go to different verticals. How do you do that? That's really hard because each vertical has their own language. This big data company that well, look at Convergys. What we did with Convergys is they have a vertical focus on financial services and 3 or 4 other verticals that they went after. And they have some real unique processes there, and the language they use is really different. I think healthcare is one, and with all these regulations. So if you notice on the deck here, there's well, I'll show you. We created this story that fit all verticals, but there were 3 or 4 slides in here that we verticalized. One of them was the problem slide. So I'll show you on. So it's really important if you're going to verticals that you still have a story that can stand across all the verticals. But I always, if I can go up to, I think it's probably this one. Notice it says vertical up here. So this was the generic one. And then they had one very specific to financial services, healthcare, technology, I think. And they were stats specifically to that industry. And then when they went into, let's see if I can do this, the pillars. Oh, excuse me. When they went into these pillars, let's see, maybe 10. Each one of these pillars, dive deeper to better understand your customer's behavior. We verticalized this language here by vertical. So the pillars stayed the same, but the way they deliver on it is a very little bit different as far as the language they use. So what I try to do is build a horizontal story. The problem set, the way I describe it, might be a little bit differently. And also the verticals, the way I deliver on that value proposition pillar might have different language. And then I use different customer examples, of course. Yes, sir.
Oh, basically, I think you're talking about the problem and the story. That is the critical aspects of the brand building. So in that, if we strike that emotional thought balance with the very, I think that's what the thing is, right?
That's correct. Know who your Mary is. Now, I'll tell you what, that's really hard for some companies. Well, what do you mean? We got to focus on a Mary. We're for everybody. Everybody needs my product. Well, yeah, they do. But I tell you what, to be successful, you got to focus. And if you focus on a Mary, that means you're automatically not going after a John. Oh, we can't do that. So sometimes it's a very difficult conversation. First off, you got to make sure there's enough Marys for you to drive a lot of revenue, right? Can't have Mary one. That's a bad place to be. But I think it's really important that you focus. The more you focus, the better off your positioning is going to resonate. And it's also going to give some direction to your salespeople. Rather than calling everything a moves, you're going to call them Mary. Here's the qualification criteria. We know we're going to win. Here's a great story. Now, in verticals, what I do is I take the conversation. In my vertical teams, I give these playbooks, fight plans, if you will, and say, okay, when you're talking in the government, you're going to have a different buyer, and here's how you talk about this to that person, and make it really specific from a sales perspective. It's a little... So you got to put the positioning into action. Sometimes the marketing message has to be converted into sales conversations, right? Yes, sir.
Sometimes it can be very difficult to devise the whole solution. For example, it might be easier or less riskier to do one part and get some feedback and then do the other part. So how does this fit into the
That's great.
product development phase?
Yeah, so the question is, maybe you only have part of the product available today. maybe you release 1.0. So the old way of selling in Silicon Valley, you had a vision. And that created the dot bomb era, right? When you sell a vision, nothing came up. So then we went back to, I'm going to sell what I've got today. I think there's a middle road that's better. I actually strategically position the vision and say, here's release 1.5, 2.0, 3.0. So strategically, I position this in the market as solving the big, hairy problem. And I say, and we're going to deliver on it right now today with these neat features. And the way I talk to companies is I say, I'm going to take you, Mary, on a journey. You got your big, hairy problem, right? Here's how I'm going to solve it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. This is where you are today. This is my release 1.5 features, right? Let's get going on that. Then my 2.0 is going to come out, and we'll be ready for it. And then 5. So I take them on a journey. And that way it allows me to still talk about futures, but manage expectations very carefully. And if I do it right, I can box my competition and say, yeah, they're only going to get you right here. I'm the only one that's going to take you through all these phases, right? So it's also a way I use to box the competition in and say they're pretty good, but they're only going to get you to stage 1. Really what you want to do is get stage 4. I'm the only one that can take you there. But let's start right now. I've got the stuff available right now. Let's get on the journey right now, and I'll take you there. So that's one technique I found that's really helpful to sell what you have today, at the same time position what you have coming out in the future. Yeah.
What would you say? Is that a vision statement?
I'm sorry?
Vision is very broad. Where do you want to go? How do you go is what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's hard to read. It's hard to see it, isn't it? No, it's a journey. I call it an evolution or maturity model. I take companies on a journey. So say our ERP release 1.0, right, or whatever, I say that's the first phase. I'm going to take you there, right? But then I say I'm going to come out with 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and I say, see what I'm saying? I take companies on a journey.
This is the customer's vision.
Yes. Yeah, no, this is I'm going to take you on this journey. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Positioning. Would you say that it's also important to position against? In positioning, there are two elements. One is your positioning for the market, so to say. Is it important also to position against the competitors that are there?
The competitors?
Yeah, because
Okay.
they are the ones who are going to first wake up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the question is going to come out as why are you different from your other competitors? You have to answer that question.
I'm saying to tackle that, to
Yeah.
actually position against the competition. One is the differentiation which the customer understands, but that doesn't mean that the competitors are going to sleep and just
Oh,
wait
no.
till let to have that message.
Like I said, if you do a really good job of positioning, they're going to start copying you and react. That's why generally positioning only lasts about a year, maybe, if you're lucky, 18 months, and then you're going to have to adjust it. Because if you do a great job, your competition's going to change. The market might even change. Maybe there's a new competitor, so you're going to have to adjust the positioning. So generally, like I go back into a client, probably 6 months, 9 months after positioning, see where they are, come in another 6 months, and then we usually start to have to adjust it because the market's adjusted. But if you do a good job and you make sure that those pillars are connected to your differentiators, the competition says, oh, I got that too, then they're playing on your game right now, and that's a great place to be. That's a great place to be. But then you may have to shift the conversation again, right? Yes,
Bob,
sir.
can you have
Yeah.
one last
Yeah.
question? I just
Yeah.
also want to let everybody know that they can go down to the speakers lounge and sign up for some time with Bob. He's going to be here to the end of the
Yeah,
day.
are we out of time right now?
We are pretty much out of
Why don't we take one more from this gentleman right here? He's been patient, and then we'll wrap it up.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Okay. We are a telecom, we are an analytics company. Okay. We have products for telecom.
Yep.
Okay. But we find, okay, there is a need to position our products differently across markets. For example, US, our products can be a second-run BI solution, whereas in Africa, it can be a greenfield BI project. Okay. And also we need to position differently to a solution integrator and to a reseller. So how do we go across this?
Well, I think it's similar to what that gentleman, and it may not be that easy for you because it sounds like they're very different markets, but if there's a way you can have a general problem you own, it shows up differently here in this country, it shows up differently here in this country, but the Uber problem is this, You see what I mean? And just spin it that way to those countries. But if you can own a problem that perhaps is pervasive, it just looks different in how it's implemented and shows up. That's probably the winning positioning. I want to end right here. I want to bring my presentation up here again real quickly, if I can. Whoa. Can you guys see that at all? Well, I got a bunch of things here. Oh, yeah, this is what I want to bring up. Sorry. I had to bring up Ganesh. Sorry. I do want to thank all of you. I think it's a really, really exciting time to be in the technology industry right now. There are these fundamental shifts in these platforms of mobile and social and cloud and big data. Your country, and you're all aligned for those forces right now. And I think the convergence of those is going to create an extraordinary opportunity for your company, for your country, and for the technology industry in this country. So I want to thank all of you for your kindness and generosity and great questions and enthusiasm. It's been really inspiring to me. So thank you again, and I hope to be back to India soon. Thank you.
I actually want to take this opportunity to thank Bob for a great workshop, and he kept all of you spellbound, and he took all your questions. And thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
We have a small gift for you, Bob. Please.
Oh, thank you.